When talking about various driving offences, lots of people ask me to define what driving actually means, so I thought I would cover that very briefly in this video. So welcome back, I'm the Black Belt Barrister, helping you to understand law, so please make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos. So whether or not a person is driving is a matter of fact for the court to decide, and it's a matter of degrees, because you are either sitting in the driving seat having full control of the vehicle, or you may be pushing that vehicle, in which case you've got some control over the speed of the vehicle, or you might be standing astride the vehicle, someone else is pushing it, you've got your arm through the window, hand on the steering wheel, and you've got some control over the direction of that vehicle. Either way, it's a matter of fact and degrees as to what control you have over that vehicle. And there is ultimately some guidance in the Road Traffic Act and in case law, which I'm going to look at briefly in this video. So whilst there is no specific definition of driving in the Road Traffic Act, Section 192 subsection 1 does provide that except for the purposes of the offence of causing death by dangerous driving, to drive or the driver does include anyone in another vehicle acting as a steersman, as I said, someone having control over the direction of the vehicle. In a 1974 case, the accused was held not to have been driving by using his shoulder against the door pillar to push the car whilst having both feet on the road. The Court of Appeal said that the essence of driving was the use of the driver's controls in order to direct the movement of the car. But additionally, the word driving must be given its ordinary meaning. But in a 1977 case, it's held that a vehicle may be being driven even while it is stationary, in respect of which the court said the person who was driving or attempting to drive at the material time was required to provide a roadside breath test. It's not necessary that the vehicle should be in motion. And a person who is obviously driving, although might be in an intermittent stationary road traffic block, or waiting at a crossing or traffic lights, or merely waiting to fill up with petrol, doesn't really make any difference, or even whether the engine is switched off. He can still be held to be driving. So what this ultimately means is that when a person is stopped in a vehicle, maybe at a traffic light or held up in traffic, they can still be prosecuted for various offences such as the use of a mobile phone. In respect of which, make sure you do subscribe, because I will be doing another video about the new stricter regulations with mobile phones, which create a stricter penalty for even touching your mobile phone, even for taking photographs and things like that, whilst leaving exemptions for things like using it as a sat-nav. So make sure you subscribe for those. But otherwise, the interpretation of the legislation by prosecutors should bear in mind road safety, and using that as an example, a person who is using their mobile phone in stationary traffic lights is likely to be distracted and less able to move off safely when the lights change. So prosecutors are urged to bear in mind at all times the intention of the legislation to promote safety, and asking the question whether or not the use of that mobile phone in those circumstances is going to prejudice that driver's ability to drive safely. And finally, the House of Lords has also held that a person might still be held to be driving even when they've turned the engine off and got out of the vehicle. Although in these sort of cases, unless in exceptional circumstances, it would be more appropriate to prosecute under Section 41D of the Road Traffic Act, that being breaching the requirements as to the control of the vehicle and, of course, having full and proper control. So in summary, in order to decide whether someone is driving, it is a question of fact and degrees as to the control that a person has over the movement and the direction of the vehicle at the given time. So I hope that provides some assistance, because you may be held liable to certain offences whilst driving a vehicle, even if you are sitting in stationary traffic. So don't let anyone fool you into thinking that sitting in stationary traffic absolves you of any kind of responsibility for driving the vehicle, because as I've explained, that's not quite the case. So remember to subscribe, and thanks for watching.